After beating the Denver Broncos last week, the Philadelphia Eagles get to play the New Orleans Saints, who, as a football team right now, they're in a very interesting spot. Last year, they were a juggernaut team. They had Drew Brees. They had everything you can imagine. All the weapons in the world, all the power, everything they needed to do to compete for a Super Bowl. This year's not so much. This year, Drew Brees goes into retirement. You have Jameis Winston, who has been very up and down, just like his entire career. But then Jameis gets hurt. He's possibly done for the season. Now Trevor Siemian's their quarterback. Looking at the beginning of the season, I felt like the Saints game could very well easily be a loss. Because I felt like Jameis could go ahead and torch up the Eagles, which, the Eagles really haven't proven they could stop anybody this year. But with Trevor Siemian, I think this game is much more manageable for the Eagles. This is going to be the worst quarterback the Eagles have played in Philly all season. I mean, granted, look at the list of the guys they've played so far this season. Garoppolo, who's meh, but he's decent enough. And then you got your Mahomes, Tom Brady, Justin Herbert. Those have been the other guys they've played in home this season. Those are some of the top quarterbacks in this league. So it's going to help the Eagles a lot this week going against a guy like Trevor Siemian. Now, I'm not saying that Trevor Siemian can't torch the Eagles. He sure as hell can torch the Eagles. The Saints still have some weapons on offense. They still got playmakers. And the Eagles' defense doesn't really do anything to stop anybody anyway. So it's very possible for Trevor Siemian to go into this game and just torch the Eagles. He could see that. I'm not underestimating Trevor Siemian. Which is pretty bad that you even have to say that. But this is more of a fact, too. I simply don't trust this Eagles defense. They've shown me no reason to have any faith in them at times. And it's simple as that. This team is based on whether their offense is going to consistently move the football. And there could be an interesting little wrinkle in the Eagles' offense this week with the possible return of Miles Sanders. He went ahead and came off IR earlier this week. The 21-day practice window is open for him. And if the Eagles activate him, he's available to be able to play. And from what they are saying, what Sirianni's saying, Miles Sanders is still the lead back. So it brings up a very interesting conundrum. What happens with Jordan Howard? Jordan Howard has to remain a key piece in this offense. And the Eagles have signed him to their active roster. So he's on the team right now. They can't keep playing this game where they keep putting him on the practice squad and bringing him back up. Jordan Howard has to be either on the team or they're going to have to let him go, which I highly doubt they'll do. I believe the coaches even said themselves that Jordan Howard, he's earned a spot on this team. He's earned it. And he should have never not been on the team in the first place, but that's besides the point. It's going to be interesting to see the running dynamic the Eagles go with this week. How many carries are you going to get Jordan Howard? How many carries are you going to give Miles Sanders? How much rust could be on him this week? And if he's having some issues, maybe some rust issues, he's been off for a few weeks, do you sub in Boston Scott to take some reps off of Miles Sanders at that point? It's going to be interesting to see how Nick Sirianni handles this. And it's going to be, in my opinion, key that they don't revert to old habits where they go into a crazy pass mode. Because the past 3 weeks, we've seen Jalen Hurts get much more comfortable these past few weeks. We're starting to see him really read the field. We're starting to see him actually play the game of quarterback like a traditional professional quarterback. He's really starting to do that. And since he's doing that, he also has that added factor of his athletic prowess. He can go ahead and pick up a 15-yard gain with his legs. If the read isn't there, he can make those plays. And it seems like these past couple weeks, he's really entering that zone where he's reading the field, and if it's not there, then he's going to take off. He's not just looking down his first read, saying it's not there, and taking off. That's the worst thing you can do as a quarterback. But he's actually going through his progressions, going through his reads. He's not panicking. He's not leaving the pocket too soon. And that's a credit to Hurts getting more comfortable in this offense. That's also a credit to Nick Sirianni making the game much easier for him. And along with that, it's making everybody around him playing better. The past 2 weeks, we've seen Devontae Smith take off. He's had 3 touchdowns these past 2 weeks. He had 1 all the weeks previously. He's had over 50 yards in both those games. He only had 1 or 2 of those in previous weeks. It's great to see that this Eagles offense seems to be really gelling. And I personally believe if the Eagles do continue this, that they'll beat this New Orleans Saints team. And the Saints aren't a bad team. They're a pretty good team. But if the Eagles continue their formula that they've been doing the past few weeks, and they continue with this game plan, they continue with this, they'll be able to find a way to win this game. Now I'm going to go to keys of victory, which are going to be pretty similar for the past few weeks, but the fact of the matter is they have to win time of possession. The way this team is built right now, they cannot have a game where their time of possession is even or in the opponent's favor. It's simple as that. If that happens, they're losing, period. End of discussion. If the other team offense is allowed to hold the ball for long periods of time, it keeps the Eagles offense off the field. They're not able to get in the rhythm. They're not able to get comfortable. And that's why I think this time of possession is very key. If the Eagles are dominating time of possession, it means they're running the ball, it means they're converting third and shorts, it means they're scoring touchdowns. It means they're making plays that they need to make. And that's key. This team, in order to win, they have to dominate time of possession. Next thing I want to add another key of victory. You got to have an even dosage between Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard. You can't just favor one too much over the other. Jordan Howard is a running back who he needs carries to get going. If you give him 2 or 3 carries, you're not going to get anything from him. You give him 10 to 15, you'll see some good production. And when we've seen him get those 10 to 15 carries, we've seen him get over 50 yards every game. One game he had multiple touchdowns. Another game he had a single touchdown. He is a guy you have to feed. And that also goes with Miles Sanders. A lot of people are saying that Miles Sanders get a couple carries and he's not doing anything with it. Well, the point is you have to give Miles Sanders carries because he's a home run hitter. He could go ahead and have 7 carries for 10 yards, but then that 8 carries an 80-yard run for a touchdown. Even when you watched last season, how many times did we see a game where Miles Sanders hit off a 50-plus yard run and it got the offense going? And it got the guys fired up. And not only that, it basically saved his average for the day. Miles Sanders is a guy you have to feed, and so is Jordan Howard. To make these guys effective, you have to continue to run the football like you have these past weeks. And there's a part of me that's afraid they won't. I hope I'm wrong, but there's a part of me that's afraid they won't. And then the final piece where I think the Eagles have to do, when you're playing defense, if there's an opportunity for a turnover, you have to take it. You have to capitalize on turnovers. The way this Eagles defense is, they have to. They're a team that they'd rather be bled out slowly instead of having a gushing wound. What I mean by that is they'd rather give up a 15-play drive than a 2-play drive, which, you get the mentality of it. It's okay. If you have a 15-play drive, there's more opportunities for mistakes. But the way offenses work now, that's not an effective strategy. These offenses are built in order to score on long drives. And the Eagles' defense simply isn't prepared for this type of mentality. So on defense, when the opportunities are there to make a play, they got to make them. Just like last week on the 4th and 1, you needed to stop in that third quarter. If Denver converts, they're going to be in trouble. De'Veon Taylor strips the ball out. Slate picks it up, gets the ball. Great, make sure you have it. But then he went ahead and returned it for a touchdown. When there's an opportunity to get the ball and do something with it, the Eagles' defense has to do it. And if they're able to do this, they'll beat the New Orleans Saints, which I can't believe I'm saying it after before the last 3 weeks. I never thought the Eagles would be able to win this game. But after these 3 weeks, I think the Eagles will win this game. I think they'll get their first win at home this week. And honestly, I think they'll win it by 10 points. I'm going to go with a score of 27-17. And I think and the reason why I'm saying the score of 27-17 is because I think the Eagles' run defense is going to wear down the Saints' defense. They're going to hold the ball. They're going to force the Saints to make every single play possible on offense. Simeon's going to have to hit every single throw perfect, which I don't think he's going to be able to. And I think the Eagles will capitalize on a turnover or two. I think the Eagles will win the time of possession. And I think they'll finally send their fans home happy for once this year. So I'm going to say 27-17 will be the final of this game. I'm not saying that Trevor Simeon can't torch the Eagles. He could. Because if Simeon hits all his throws, this is a different game. But I'm willing to bet he's not going to be able to. It's going to be at home in Philly in November. A little tough for a dome team. I'm going to say the Eagles will win this game 27-17. So now let me get into the NFL picks of the week for Week 11. So Thursday night, we got the Patriots taking on the Falcons. I'm gonna say what it is. Atlanta got destroyed last week, but New England looks like they're getting back to what they used to be. Tom Brady's gone, yeah, but it looks like the Patriot way is coming back because Mac Jones looked good. Their defense is looking good. The Patriots are just looking like a solid, good football team right now. I think New England will win this game. Next, we got the Ravens taking on the Bears. I think it'll be an interesting matchup here. The Ravens have been shaky recently, and the Bears have been a solid opponent for a lot of teams. With Justin Fields, he's been making games close, making games interesting. I'm going to say the Ravens will get back on track and win this game, but I think this will be a close game throughout. Next, we got the Packers taking on the Vikings. Aaron Rodgers came back last week. Then both the Packers and Seattle struggled early on, but the offenses right now, they're all about rhythm and timing. And I think getting back a week full of practice is going to help Green Bay get going. Having Rodgers back, everybody's going to feel better. I think Green Bay is going to take care of the Vikings. The Vikings, they don't know what they want to be half the time. Sometimes they go out and they blow out an opponent. Other times they get blown out themselves. They're just too iffy of a team. I think the Packers are a better team. I'm going Green Bay. Next, we've got the Colts taking on the Bills. You know, there's times when you look at the Colts, they're looking good. But who have they beaten this year? They haven't really beaten anybody good. Buffalo, they were a little shaky 2 weeks ago. They got back on track against the Jets. I think Buffalo's going to want to prove something against the Colts. I think Buffalo's going to actually steamroll Indy this game. Next, we've got the Lions and the Browns. Look, to be fair, the Browns they're a walking corpse right now. They're a walking corpse. They've had a lot of injuries. They've had a lot of issues, a lot of turmoil, but they're playing the Lions. The Lions have been one of the biggest jokes in the NFL this season. I'm going to say Cleveland. I'm going to say Cleveland's going to win this game. They should be able to this should be a get-well game for Cleveland. But, you know, they need to pick it up here. Next, we've got Washington taking on the Panthers. Nice little reunion for Riverboat Ron and Cam Newton, who was signed last week, who actually scored a couple touchdowns in that Cardinals game. So, good for Cam coming back to Carolina. Washington thinks they feel like they got something going. They pulled a very surprising upset against Tampa. Yeah, Tampa has his injuries, but that's still a pretty good win. Granted, it was at home. I'm going to say Washington will win this game. I just feel like they're a little bit more of a solid team right now, but I'm going to go Washington in this game. Next, we got the Texans and the Titans. I mean, this should be pretty easy. Titans should take care of business here. It's a division rival game, but at home in Tennessee, I think the Titans will take care of business. Next, we got the Niners taking on the Jaguars. I mean, I got to say Niners win this game. The Jaguars haven't shown me enough. They're playing more competitively, which is good, but I just think the Niners are a better team. Next, we got the Dolphins taking on the Jets. I mean, this is your coin flip who's who of bad teams. I'm going to say the Jets will win this game. They're at home. They've had some good vibes here and there. They played some people tough. I think the Jets will pull this one out. Next, got the Bengals taking on the Raiders. I mean, two teams who've had a couple ups and downs here. The Bengals, I still think, are a more solid team. The Raiders just seem to have so much drama going around. I think it's too much for them. I think Bengals will win this game. Cowboys and Chiefs. Cowboys had a very disappointing loss against Denver, but then they bounced back last week in shellacking against Atlanta. And then the Chiefs, who've been very not a team this year, they've been playing people randomly. Sometimes they're playing them tough. Sometimes they're not playing them tough. Last week, they went ahead and they destroyed the Raiders. So I'm going to say the Chiefs will win this game. It's in Kansas City. I think Dallas will play them tough. I think it will be a nice little shootout, but I think Mahomes and the Chiefs have a little too much firepower. Next, we have the Cardinals and the Seahawks. Russell Wilson came back last week. News to me, I didn't even know he was coming back last week. But, so him and he's taking on the Cardinals this week in Seattle. If Kyler Murray and some of the Cardinals' weapons comes back, I think the Cardinals can win this game. But if not, you know, Seattle could steal this one. But the way Seattle's been, I don't think they're as solid as the Cardinals overall. I think Carolina just caught the Cardinals napping because they're maybe looking ahead to this game. So I'm going to take Arizona in this game, beating Seattle in Seattle. They've had in recent history, the Cardinals have been beating Seattle up there. So I'm going to continue with the trend. I think the Cardinals will take down Seattle. Next, we got the Steelers taking on the Chargers. I mean, I'm going to say Pittsburgh's going to win this game, presuming if Ben's able to come back. And even so, that way Herbert's been playing hasn't been really inspiring much confidence with the Chargers. They got to figure something out and get him back in his rhythm. But I don't think this is the week. I think the Steelers defense is going to be tough. And I think they'll make some plays and they'll beat the Chargers this week. Then to wrap up the week on Monday night, we got the New York Giants taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would think Tom Brady's a little pissed off from last week. So I'm going to take Tampa Bay beating the Giants this week. So with that, that wraps up the Week 11 picks. I want to thank you all for listening to the Process YouTube channel. If you like what I gotta say, please hit the like button. If you agree or disagree with anything I gotta say, please say it in the comment section below and let the discussion go from there. With that, I want to thank you all for listening again and hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.